What if I told you that your soul has been leaving you clues throughout your whole life? Small signs pointing toward the end of your life on Earth. What if the things happening to you right now, the changes in how you see things, the differences in what's important to you, what if these aren't random things, but clear signs that your soul is getting ready to graduate from the school of life on Earth? Edgar Cayce, the famous sleeping prophet whose psychic readings have helped millions, didn't just see into people's past lives and health problems. He saw something much deeper, the spiritual signs that show when a soul is getting close to finishing its lessons on Earth. And here's what will surprise you. These signs aren't about death in the way you might think. They're about spiritual completion. They're about a soul that has learned what it came here to learn, healed what it came here to heal, and given what it came here to give. Some souls notice these signs and feel deep peace. Others miss them completely and feel lost, wondering why everything seems to be changing, why their old goals no longer feel important, why they're drawn to completely different things than what used to make them happy. But here's the question that might change everything. Are you seeing these signs right now? Have you been feeling changes inside yourself that you can't quite explain? Changes in what brings you joy, what worries you, what feels meaningful? Because if you are, you're not losing your way. You might be finding it. You might be getting close to the most special change your soul will ever make. Stay with me, because what Edgar Cayce showed about these 9 signs will either give you deep peace about the changes you're going through or help you notice patterns you never saw before. If you're already feeling something stirring inside you as you hear this, drop a comment and let me know. Have you been sensing changes in yourself that you can't quite explain? And if you're ready to explore these deep mysteries with thousands of others on the same journey, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. We're discovering truths that light up the deepest purposes of human life. Now, let me take you on a journey through the 9 special signs that your soul may be getting ready for its final graduation on Earth, the Great Turning Inward. It all begins with what Edgar Cayce called the Great Turning. A big shift in attention from the outside world to the inside landscape of the soul. Have you noticed that you're becoming less interested in things that once grabbed your attention? That career goals that used to push you forward now feel somehow empty? That social gatherings you once enjoyed now feel tiring instead of energizing? This isn't sadness. This isn't giving up on life. This is the first sign that your soul is finishing its education on Earth. Picture this. You've been going to a school for many years, completely focused on your studies, your social life, your future plans, but now you're getting close to graduation, and suddenly the things that seemed so important throughout your time at school start to feel less important. You're not becoming lazy or uninterested. You're moving into a different stage of life. Cayce saw that souls getting close to completion begin to naturally pull their energy away from outside activities and point it inward. They become more interested in understanding themselves than impressing others, more drawn to meaning than achievement, more focused on being than doing. This turning inward shows up in many ways. You might find yourself wanting alone time more than ever before. Long walks by yourself feel more refreshing than busy social events. Quiet evenings at home bring more happiness than entertainment that once excited you. You might notice that you're becoming pickier about how you spend your time and energy. Activities that don't feed your soul start to feel like a waste of precious life energy. People who create drama or negativity become harder to be around. Not because you're becoming judgmental, but because your soul is too focused on its spiritual work to be distracted by shallow concerns. But here's what's really happening on a deeper level. Your soul is doing what Cayce called the final inventory. It's looking back at everything it has learned, experienced, and done in this lifetime, figuring out what still needs attention and what has been finished. This process requires huge inner focus. Your soul needs to turn away from the constant excitement of outside life to do this deep spiritual accounting. That's why the world suddenly feels less exciting. That's why you're drawn to silence, to nature, to activities that support inner thinking. Some people fight this turning inward, thinking something is wrong with them. They force themselves back into activities that no longer feel right, wondering why everything feels different. But Cayce taught that fighting this natural turning is like fighting the ocean waves. It creates unnecessary struggle. If you're going through this great turning inward, you're not becoming antisocial or losing your love for life. You're responding to a deep spiritual call to go deeper, to get ready for what comes next. And this leads us to the second sign, which often comes with this inward turning and might completely change how you see your relationships with others. The bonds that go beyond time. Recognition across the veil. The second sign Cayce found is what he called recognition across the veil. Suddenly seeing the people in your life, not just as they look now, but as the eternal souls they truly are. Have you recently found yourself looking at your loved ones with a strange sense of knowing that goes beyond your current relationship? Like you're seeing them for who they really are beneath their human personality. This recognition shows up in beautiful and sometimes overwhelming ways. You might look at your aging parent and suddenly see them not as the imperfect human who raised you, but as an ancient soul who chose to love you through the limited form of human parenthood. All the anger, all the disappointments, all the unmet expectations suddenly seem so small compared to the deep love that exists between your souls. You might find yourself forgiving family members for things that have bothered you for many years. Not because you're forcing forgiveness, but because you can suddenly see the bigger picture of why these souls are in your life and what you've been learning from each other. Or you might have moments of deep connection with your spouse, your children, your closest friends. Moments where you feel like you're seeing straight into their soul and recognizing someone you've known across lifetimes. Cayce taught that as souls get close to completion, the curtain between lifetimes begins to get thinner. You start to remember on a soul level the deeper connections you share with the important people in your life. You begin to understand that your relationships aren't random. They're sacred agreements between souls who have been helping each other's growth across many lifetimes. This recognition brings both deep love and deep sadness. Love because you can finally see the eternal bond that connects you to your soul family. Sadness because you're beginning to sense that your time together in physical form may be coming to an end. But here's what's truly amazing about this sign. It often leads to healing conversations and connections that seemed impossible before. When you see someone as an eternal soul, rather than just their current personality, you naturally approach them with more compassion, more patience, more unconditional love. You might find yourself having deeper conversations with people you've known for years, sharing feelings you've kept hidden, expressing thanks you've taken for granted, making peace with estranged relatives, strengthening bonds with children or parents in ways you never thought possible. If you're recognizing souls around you in this deeper way, if you're feeling sudden urges to connect more truly with your loved ones, pay attention. Your soul might be trying to complete its relationships to express the love and healing that needs to happen before your journey on earth ends. And this recognition of eternal bonds often triggers the third sign, a thing that Cayce said was one of the most beautiful parts of getting close to spiritual completion. The unfinished symphony finds its notes. The third sign is what Edgar Cayce called the great healing. A sudden speed up in fixing old wounds, completing unfinished emotional business, and releasing patterns that have been carried for years or even lifetimes. Have you been seeing unexpected healing in areas of your life that seemed permanently stuck? Relationships that suddenly improve after years of fighting? Emotional wounds that begin closing after many years of pain? Addictions or harmful patterns that you finally find the strength to break? This isn't coincidence. This is your soul rushing to complete its lessons on earth. Picture a student who realizes they're close to graduation, but still has several incomplete assignments. They feel a burst of motivated energy to finish everything, to tie up loose ends, to complete what they started. Your soul experiences something similar as it gets close to the end of its education on earth. Cayce saw that souls getting close to completion often experience what he called speeded up karma. Quick opportunities to heal, forgive, and solve problems that might have taken years to work through under normal circumstances. That family member you haven't talked to in years might suddenly reach out, creating a chance for making peace. You might finally find the courage to have that difficult conversation you've been avoiding. Old anger might suddenly dissolve as you gain new view on past hurts. Or you might discover that you're naturally letting go of attachments to things that once seemed so important. The need to be right in arguments fades away. The desire to control outcomes gets smaller. Jealousy, anger, and other heavy emotions start to feel strange to your nature. This healing often happens in waves. You might go through periods of intense emotional processing, feeling everything you've ever pushed down, mourning losses you never fully mourned, releasing anger you've carried for many years. Then you come out feeling lighter, clearer, more at peace than you've ever felt before. Some people see physical healing during this time too. Chronic conditions that doctors couldn't explain suddenly improve. Energy levels increase despite getting older. Sleep becomes more restful. The body seems to be getting ready for change by releasing stored trauma and tension. But the deepest healing often happens in your relationship with yourself. Self-forgiveness that seemed impossible becomes natural. Self-love that felt forced becomes real. You stop fighting yourself and start appreciating the journey you've been on, including all the mistakes and struggles that seemed so painful at the time. If this kind of speeded-up healing is happening in your life, if you're finding solutions in areas that have been stuck for years, your soul might be getting ready for completion. It's cleaning house, finishing business, making peace with the past so it can move forward without anything holding it back. And as this healing speeds up, something else beautiful begins to happen. The fourth sign that Cayce said was unmistakable in souls getting close to their graduation on Earth. If you're recognizing these patterns in your own life, I'd love to hear about it. Share in the comments one area where you've seen unexpected healing or solution recently. When you acknowledge these changes, it helps our whole community recognize the special nature of what you might be going through. And if your reflection shows real spiritual awareness, I'll mark it with a heart to honor your courage in sharing. But this healing process sets the stage for something even deeper, a sign that often takes people by surprise, and can be either deeply comforting or unsettling depending on how well you understand what's happening. The visitors from beyond. The fourth sign Edgar Cayce found is one that often surprises people who aren't expecting it. Visitations from departed souls, an increase in contact with loved ones who have already passed away. Have you been having more vivid dreams about people who have died? Sensing the presence of departed family members or friends in ways that feel more real than imagination? Getting what seem like messages or signs from those who have crossed over. This isn't your mind playing tricks on you. According to Cayce, as souls get close to completion, the curtain between the physical and spiritual worlds becomes thinner for them. They begin to vibrate at a frequency that makes communication with departed souls not only possible, but natural. These visitations serve many purposes. Sometimes departed loved ones come to offer comfort and guidance as you go through the changes in your life. They might appear in dreams to reassure you that death isn't something to fear, showing you through their presence that consciousness continues beyond physical existence. Other times, these souls return to complete unfinished business with you. A parent who died before you could make peace might visit to offer the forgiveness or understanding that wasn't possible while they were alive. A friend who passed suddenly might come to deliver a message they never had the chance to share. But perhaps most importantly, these visitations help to make you familiar with the reality of the spiritual realm. Your soul is being slowly introduced to the place it will soon live in, making the change feel less strange and scary. The visitations might be subtle at first. A sudden smell that reminds you strongly of your grandmother. A song that comes on the radio at the exact moment you're thinking about your departed spouse. A dream so vivid and meaningful that you wake up feeling like you've actually spent time with someone you love. As you get close to completion, these experiences often become more frequent and more undeniable. You might wake up with information you couldn't have known, comfort that seems to come from outside yourself, or a sense of guidance that feels clearly like it's coming from someone who loves you deeply. Some people push away these visitations, thinking their grief caused hallucinations or wishful thinking. But Cayce taught that dismissing these experiences robs you of one of the most beautiful gifts of getting close to spiritual completion, the chance to keep conscious contact with your soul family across dimensions. If you're experiencing increased contact with departed loved ones, pay attention to what they're trying to tell you. They often bring messages about your purpose, comfort about your path, or guidance about decisions you're facing. But these visitations also prepare you for the fifth sign, which Cayce said was one of the deepest shifts that souls experience as they get close to their graduation on Earth, the call of the eternal. The fifth sign is what Edgar Cayce called the pull of the higher realms, an increasing sense of homesickness for a place you've never been, at least not in this lifetime. Have you been feeling a strange longing that you can't quite identify? A sense that you don't quite belong in this world despite having lived here your whole life? An increasing draw toward spiritual experiences, meditation, prayer, or thinking about the divine. This isn't escapism or sadness. This is your soul beginning to remember its true home. Cayce explained that as souls near completion, they start to vibrate at frequencies that are closer to the spiritual realms than the physical world. This creates a natural magnetic pull toward higher places of existence. You begin to feel more at home in spiritual states of awareness than in ordinary daily activities. You might find yourself spending more time in meditation, not because you're trying to achieve something, but because that state of awareness feels more natural than waking activity. Prayer might become less about asking for things, and more about connection with divine presence. Nature often becomes incredibly important during this time. You might feel drawn to spend hours watching sunsets sitting by water, or walking in forests. These aren't just nice activities. They're experiences that help your soul tune in to the vibrational frequency of the spiritual realms. Some people experience what Cayce called preview experiences, moments of expanded awareness where they glimpse the peace, love, and understanding that await in higher places. These might come during meditation, prayer, or quiet thinking. They're not hallucinations. They're your soul sampling its future home. But this pull toward the eternal can create challenges in daily life. You might find it harder to care about boring responsibilities. Work that once felt important might seem trivial. Social obligations might feel like burdens rather than pleasures. This is why understanding this sign is so important. If you don't recognize what's happening, you might think something is wrong with you. You might force yourself back into activities that no longer feel right, creating internal fighting and confusion. But if you understand that this pull toward the eternal is a natural part of spiritual completion, you can honor it while still taking care of your responsibilities on earth. You can see it as preparation for your soul's next adventure rather than a rejection of your current life. The key is finding balance, allowing yourself to spend more time in spiritual states while still maintaining your physical life with love and responsibility. And this pull toward higher realms often triggers the sixth sign, which Cayce said was one of the most beautiful changes he saw in souls getting close to completion: the heart that knows no boundaries. The sixth sign Edgar Cayce found is universal compassion, a deep expansion of your ability to love that reaches far beyond your personal circle to include all beings. Have you noticed that your heart has been opening in ways you never expected? That you feel deep compassion for people you don't even know? That suffering anywhere in the world touches you more deeply than it used to? This isn't becoming overly sensitive or emotionally unstable. This is your soul expressing its true nature as it gets ready to return to realms of unconditional love. Cayce saw that as souls get close to completion, the walls that separate them from others begin to dissolve. You start to see yourself in everyone you meet. The homeless person on the street isn't a stranger. They're another part of consciousness having a difficult experience. The difficult coworker isn't an enemy. They're a soul struggling with their own lessons and limitations. This expanding compassion often shows up in unexpected ways. You might find yourself giving to charities you never supported before, volunteering for causes that weren't on your radar before, feeling moved to help people in ways that surprise even you. But it's not just about helping others. Your compassion reaches yourself as well. You might finally forgive yourself for past mistakes. Stop judging yourself so harshly. Treat yourself with the same kindness you've always tried to show others. And your compassion expands to include all of life, animals, plants, the earth itself. You might become more aware of your impact on the environment, feel sadness about the suffering of animals, experience a sense of connection to nature that goes beyond thinking to genuine felt experience. This universal compassion can be overwhelming at first. You might feel like you're caring too much, feeling too deeply, being affected by suffering that isn't directly related to your life. But Cayce taught that this is actually your soul remembering its true nature, beings of pure love who are naturally connected to all consciousness. The challenge is learning to feel this compassion without being overwhelmed by it, to care deeply while keeping inner peace, to serve others while taking care of yourself, to love universally while still honoring your human limitations. As this compassion grows, you often find that your purpose in life becomes clearer. You understand that you're here not just for your own growth, but to serve the growth and healing of all consciousness. Your individual journey becomes part of a larger mission of love. If you're experiencing this expansion of compassion, trust it. Allow your heart to open even when it's painful. Let yourself care about things that matter, even if others don't understand why. Your soul is expressing its readiness to return to realms where love is the only reality. And this expanding love sets the stage for the seventh sign, which Cayce said was one of the most mysterious and beautiful experiences souls have as they get close to their graduation on Earth. The wisdom that comes from nowhere. The seventh sign is what Edgar Cayce called spontaneous knowing. Sudden access to wisdom, understanding, and knowledge that seems to come from beyond your personal experience or education. Have you been having insights about life, relationships, or spiritual matters that feel like they're coming from a source deeper than your conscious mind? Understanding ideas that you've never studied. Knowing things about people or situations without being told. This isn't imagination or coincidence. This is your soul accessing the universal field of consciousness as it gets ready to return to realms where all knowledge is available. Cayce explained that as souls get close to completion, their awareness begins to expand beyond the boundaries of individual experience. They start to tap into what he called the Akashic records, the universal library of all knowledge and experience. This spontaneous knowing might show up as sudden understanding of spiritual ideas that were confusing before. You might find yourself explaining deep principles with clarity and depth that surprises even you. Complex philosophical or spiritual questions might suddenly have obvious answers, or you might develop intuitive abilities that you never had before. Knowing when someone is about to call, sensing when something important is about to happen, understanding people's reasons and emotions without them saying anything. Sometimes this knowing is practical. You might have sudden insights about health, relationships, or life decisions that prove to be remarkably accurate. Solutions to problems might appear in your mind without effort or struggle. But perhaps most importantly, you might develop what Cayce called soul sight, the ability to see the spiritual reality behind physical appearances. You understand people's behavior in the context of their soul's journey, rather than just their personality patterns. You see current events in the framework of humanity's spiritual growth, rather than just political or social dynamics. This spontaneous knowing can be startling at first. You might question where these insights are coming from, whether you can trust them, what it means that you suddenly understand things you never studied. But Cayce taught that this is simply your soul remembering what it has always known. As the walls between your individual consciousness and universal consciousness dissolve, you naturally have access to wisdom that belongs to all souls. The key is learning to tell the difference between genuine spiritual insight and mental guessing. True spontaneous knowing comes with a quality of certainty and peace. Doesn't create worry or confusion. It brings clarity and understanding. If you're experiencing this kind of knowing, trust it. Start paying attention to the insights that come to you. Test them gently in your life. You might discover that your soul has access to guidance and wisdom that can change not only your own experience, but your ability to help others as well. And this expanding awareness prepares you for the eighth sign, which Cayce said was often the most emotionally challenging for souls to go through as they get close to completion. The peace that surpasses understanding. The ninth and final sign Edgar Cayce found is unshakable inner peace. A deep, lasting calmness that remains stable no matter what happens outside. Have you been experiencing moments of deep peace that seem to come from somewhere deeper than your thoughts or emotions? A sense of rightness about your life, even if everything isn't perfect. A feeling that all is well in ways you can't fully explain. This isn't temporary relaxation or situational contentment. This is your soul resting in the knowledge that its mission on earth is nearly complete. Cayce described this peace as the signature of spiritual completion. It's a quality of awareness that comes when a soul has learned its major lessons, healed its main wounds, fulfilled its essential purpose, and prepared for change to higher realms. This peace often puzzles people who experience it, especially if their outside circumstances would typically cause stress or worry. You might be facing health challenges, money difficulties, or relationship problems. Yet underneath it all, there's an unshakable sense that everything is unfolding exactly as it should. The peace isn't dependent on having all your problems solved or all your questions answered. It comes from a deeper knowing that your soul's journey has meaning and purpose, that every experience has helped your growth, and that whatever comes next will be exactly what you need. You might find that small annoyances that used to upset you no longer have the power to disturb your inner calm. Traffic jams, rude people, disappointing news. These things might still be unpleasant, but they don't shake your fundamental sense of peace. Even thoughts about death, if they come up, don't create the fear they once did. You might feel curious about what comes next, rather than anxious about leaving this world. Death begins to feel less like an ending, and more like a doorway to the next phase of your soul's adventure. This peace often spreads outward, affecting everyone around you. People might comment that you seem different, more calm, more centered. They might seek out your presence when they are troubled, sensing that you carry something they need. But perhaps most remarkably, this peace coexists with deep involvement in life. You're not detached in a way that makes you uninvolved or uncaring. Instead, you're able to participate fully in life, while remaining centered in an inner calm that outside events can't disturb. Cayce taught that this unshakable peace is the soul's way of signaling its readiness for whatever comes next. It has completed its lessons on earth and feels prepared for graduation. Whether that means continued service in physical form or change to spiritual realms. If you're experiencing this kind of peace, especially in combination with the other signs we've discussed, your soul might be getting close to a big completion. This doesn't necessarily mean physical death is about to happen. Some souls complete their education on earth, but choose to remain in physical form to serve others or experience life from their new level of awareness. But it does mean that something deep is shifting in your spiritual journey. You're getting close to a graduation of sorts, a completion of one stage of your eternal existence and a preparation for whatever magnificent adventure awaits. The recognition changes everything. Now that you understand these 9 signs that Edgar Cayce found as indicators of spiritual completion, everything changes about how you might interpret what's happening in your life. Those feelings of restlessness, those shifts in priorities, those experiences that seemed confusing or worrying, they might actually be signs of the most beautiful change your soul can make. If you're recognizing several of these signs in your own experience, you're not losing your way. You're finding it. You're not becoming disconnected from life. You're connecting with the deeper purpose behind your life on earth. But here's what's important to understand. Recognizing these signs isn't about predicting when your physical life will end. It's about understanding that your soul operates on a different timeline than your body. And sometimes souls complete their education on earth long before their physical form stops working. Some people experience all 9 signs and continue living physically for many more years, but with a completely changed relationship to life. They become elders in the truest sense, souls who have completed their own learning and are now here mainly to serve others' growth and healing. Others experience these signs as preparation for change to spiritual realms. Their soul has finished its lessons on earth and is ready to graduate to higher places of existence. The key isn't to know which category you fall into, but to honor whatever process is unfolding in your life. If your soul is getting close to completion, the most important thing you can do is support that process rather than fight it. This might mean spending more time in spiritual practices that nourish your soul, having deeper conversations with loved ones, completing unfinished emotional business, simplifying your life to focus on what truly matters. It might mean trusting the changes you're experiencing rather than fighting them, allowing yourself to feel less interested in activities that no longer feel right, embracing the pull toward alone time, nature, and spiritual connection. Most importantly, it means recognizing that if your soul is getting close to completion, you have accomplished something magnificent. You've learned lessons that many souls take many lifetimes to master. You've healed wounds that stretch back through generations. You've developed abilities for love, wisdom, and service that are rare and precious. If this message is touching you deeply, I want to hear about it. Share in the comments which of these 9 signs you're experiencing and how understanding them as spiritual indicators rather than problems changes your view. Your willingness to explore these possibilities helps everyone in our community recognize the special nature of their own life changes. And if this exploration is opening new understanding for you, subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss our continued journey into these deep spiritual mysteries. Share this video with someone who might be going through their own spiritual completion. Your sharing might provide exactly the understanding they need, the gift you came to give. As we reach the end of our exploration of these 9 signs, I want to leave you with the most important truth Edgar Cayce showed about souls getting close to completion on Earth. You didn't come to this planet just to learn and grow for your own benefit. You came as a gift to the world. Every lesson you've learned, every challenge you've overcome, every moment of love you've expressed, all of this has helped the healing and growth of human consciousness. If your soul is showing signs of completion, it means you've given your gift. You've added your unique contribution to the grand symphony of human experience. You've helped raise the vibrational frequency of this planet through your very presence here. The peace you might be feeling isn't just personal satisfaction. It's cosmic recognition. The universe itself is acknowledging that you fulfilled your purpose, that you've served the greater good in ways that matter more than you can imagine. Whether your path leads to continued physical life with expanded awareness, or change to spiritual realms, you can rest in the knowledge that your life has had deep meaning and impact. The struggles you've gone through weren't meaningless suffering. They were the forging fires that developed your soul's strength and compassion. The love you've given wasn't just personal kindness. It was healing energy that has touched countless lives in ways you'll never fully know. The wisdom you've gained isn't just intellectual understanding. It's spiritual treasure that becomes part of the collective human inheritance available to help future souls go through their own journeys. If you're experiencing the signs of getting close to spiritual completion, honor what you've accomplished. Celebrate the magnificent journey your soul has taken. Trust the process that's unfolding, whether it leads to continued service on Earth or graduation to higher realms. And if you're not yet experiencing these signs, let them inspire you to live more consciously, love more deeply, and serve more fully. Let them remind you that your current struggles and challenges are shaping you into the beautiful, wise, compassionate being you're meant to become. Your soul knows what it's doing. Trust its wisdom, honor its journey, and allow yourself to feel amazed by the perfect unfolding of a plan so magnificent that your human mind can barely glimpse its true scope and beauty. The signs are there for those ready to see them. The question is, are you ready to recognize the special nature of your own spiritual journey? The answer to that question might change not just how you see your future, but how you live every precious moment you have remaining in this extraordinary adventure of physical existence. Your soul's graduation is not an ending. It's the beginning of something even more magnificent than you can imagine.